Hello Parkside, and welcome to the online service. We want to thank you guys here for joining us, and if you guys are new here, then welcome to the Parkside family. And today we're going to be learning about return on investments. And I just want to say thank you guys for joining us.
Hi everybody, welcome to Parkside Online. And first you have your Dollar Cup nominations that you can do online, as well as Parkside Care Service opportunities. And third, I want to give a shout out to my sister, happy birthday, hoping this counts as a birthday present, but probably not. And then this past Saturday we had our senior graduate parade, which was very awesome, and I want to thank everybody who was a part of it. It's definitely going to be a memory that I'm never going to forget. And so I just want to thank you for everybody that was in it and who made me laugh and smile that day.
Do something every day that doesn't make sense. Get lost and give all your stuff away. Work without pay. Love someone who hasn't earned it. Imagine a world where all things are actually made new. And be foolish enough to live as if that were possible. Allow yourself to be truly known by someone else. Eat good food with close friends, slowly tasting every bite. Compost and watch the world emerge anew from what others have thrown away. Confront violence boldly. Speak truth to power. Breathe deeply. Be generous with mercy. Take long walks. Delight in the world and call it good. Cry in front of people and recognize the gift of your tears. Speak out against anything that doesn't restore us to one another. Sit by a river and listen to it. Hold babies and learn from them. Live surrounded by the grace that you did not have to earn. Embrace difference. Welcome interruptions. Tirelessly work for the liberation of all people. Throw more parties and watch how laughter transforms a room. Ask the hard questions out loud, even if there is no answer. Boy. Recognize others' fragility as your own. Plant trees and watch them bear fruit, not because anything you have done, but as gift. Practice awe. Find comfort in mystery. May you find Christ in all things, even your enemy. And remember, we belong to each other. As Wendell Berry says, practice resurrection.
Hey Parkside, we are excited to be reopening our facilities on June 13th and 14th for worship services, but we want to give you a heads up on what you can expect. You can go online to our social media or to our website, check your email for more info, and if you have questions you can contact us, but we wanted to walk you through from the parking lot to inside the building what you can expect when you come back for our worship services June 13th and 14th. The first thing, when you show up, try not to show up any more than 15 minutes before the service, and we aren't requiring masks, but we'd like to ask all of you to wear masks if possible. So please, when you come out of your car, as you approach the building, put your mask on. We're gonna have ushers at the entrances that are gonna be greeting you and opening the doors. They're not gonna be shaking hands, but they will have the doors open so that you don't have to touch anything and you can come on in. Let's go on in and see what else we've got as you guys come back to worship. So when you come in the lobby, you'll notice that there won't be any coffee that we'll be serving or breakfast goods. For the time being, we're just not going to be serving those. Also for the time being, we're not going to be having the adult Sunday morning groups or children's ministry or student ministry in the building on Sunday mornings until we can figure a safe way to do that for everyone. So as you come in, make sure you don't show up more than 15 minutes early. And when you come into the lobby, you'll be greeted by our team of volunteers and our staff. The doors for the worship center will be open, and we will guide you in and help you find a seat where you can be ready for the worship service. When we do go in, we'll go in as a family, and we'll sit as a family or with whoever you've come to the worship service with. As you come in for the worship service, we will guide you to seats that match the size of the group that you've come with. We really need your help in making sure that you sit in the exact amount of seats, socially distant from other groups. As you see the seating arrangement right now, the seating arrangement on June 13th and 14th won't be our normal setup. It'll be a reduced capacity to ensure that we are socially distant and that there's enough space between our groups. So as you come in, find your seat, resist the urge to talk to lots of other people or be close to them. Come into your seats, talk to the people maybe that are close to you, and then enjoy the worship service. In the worship service, we have changed how we are going to be doing offering and communion. Communion will be provided to you in a baggie, in a disposable container that you will take as a family group in the worship service, and then dispose of that on your own so that there's no contamination. And then also offering, we won't be passing offering plates, but we'll be having those on receptacles at entrances that you can put in your offering before or after the service. Now, when the service ends, we're going to need your help as you leave to stay distant, 6 feet distance away from everyone else as you leave. And you're going to be really wanting to talk to everybody in the lobby. But whether it's before the service or after the service, we need to make sure that we don't stay gathered in a large group or break any of the distancing guidelines that have been put forth. So come in, enjoy your worship service, have a great time worshiping with everybody. And as you leave, please stagger as you leave to make sure that we have enough distance. And the last thing I'll say is that before and after every service, we will be cleaning and disinfecting all the areas that are going to be getting heavy traffic, such as the bathrooms or the worship space. So know that we are going to all the lengths we can to make sure that this is a safe environment and that our services are focused around being the body of Christ together and a place where people can find Jesus and find family. We're really excited about June 13th and 14th, welcoming you back into our building. You can go online to sign up, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We're looking forward to seeing you Parkside.
promises are yes and amen. All your promises are yes and amen. Beautiful Savior, you have brought me here. You pulled me from the ashes, you have broken every curse. Blessed Redeemer, you have set this captive free. Lord, I can't help but sing. Faithful you are, faithful
confidence
is your faithfulness. I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness. I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness. I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness. Faithful you are. Faithful forever you will be. Faithful you are. All your promises are yes and amen. All your promises are yes and amen. Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but He brought me in. Oh, His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last He has ransomed me, His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He would give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing loss! The Father turns His face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held Him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom.
Jesus came to people who needed truth, transformation, and hope. He came and took their view of people, their values, and what's important and turned them upside down. He spoke with heaven on His lips and a truth that we may have hope. He came to be our beacon of hope.
Hey everybody, it's great to have you here worshiping with the Parkside family today. And today I want to start off by saying congratulations to all of our graduates. You haven't just accomplished something incredible by graduating, you have overcome an adversity that has really just been incredible. You have given up 2 months of your senior year and given up dances, given up sports seasons, plays, musicals, and you've shown a resiliency that has really not just made us proud of you, but has taught us things too. And on top of all of that, you've also taught us a new way to celebrate, and that is awesome. It has been such a joy to celebrate your accomplishments and see how you have rolled with the punches, kept your chin up, and not let this destroy your senior year, but just made it a different experience. So I want to say congratulations and let you know that we're excited for whatever's next and know that you've got what it takes. And so as you embark on new adventures and new chapters, know that we are praying for you, and there's always a place for you at Parkside because you are our church family, and we're excited to see you grow and flourish. I thought it'd be fun to tell you a story about my time in college, and hopefully this story doesn't get me in too much legal trouble. So when I was in college, my roommate Brett had this safe, and this safe, I didn't know what he put in it, but he would get this safe down, he'd get a key out, he'd unlock it, and he'd put something in it, and he'd lock it back up, and I always teased him. I said, you know, what's in the safe? And he wouldn't tell me. And so I said, I'm gonna figure out how to pick this lock, and I'm gonna find out what's in the safe. And he laughed at me, he mocked me, he said, this safe is airtight, you're not gonna be able to get in it, good luck. And so I did what any college student would do. I got online and figured out how to pick locks. So I watched some videos, figured it out, and one day when he was not in our room, I got the safe down, and lo and behold, I picked that sucker. I got it open, and believe it or not, besides some like legal documents, you know, like his social security card and stuff, he had love letters from his girlfriend in there. Now I promise to this day that I did not read a single letter, but this was too good of an opportunity to just pass up. So I went to all the buddies on my floor, all the guys on my floor, and I asked each one of them to write a love letter to Brett. And so all the guys got busy, they got their construction paper, their scissors out, and we made some great notes for my roommate. And so we put them all back in. I kept the real love letter somewhere safe, and I hid his safe, and I just waited and waited and waited for some huge reaction from Brett. And I never got one. He kept it so tight-lipped. In fact, I don't know when he discovered it. I only found out he knew when I had a day that after a trip to Applebee's, I wasn't able to leave the bathroom because I discovered that he had slipped some X-Lax in my Pepsi at Applebee's. That was his way of getting back at me. But he never really reacted. And believe it or not, that story about me picking that safe has something to do with what we're talking about this morning and this weekend with Beacon of Hope and our Sermon on the Mount series. It doesn't have anything to do with the Pepsi I drank at Applebee's, but it has something huge to do with my escapade in a life of crime and picking that lock in that safe. So if you want, open up your apps, your Bibles. Let's read Matthew 6:19 through 24 and see what Jesus says about storing up your valuables. So turn to chapter 6 with me, and we're going to pick up in verse 19. He says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." So Jesus says in this story, take your treasures and store them someplace safe where moth and animals and rust and thieves can't break in, steal, or destroy. He says, put things in a safe that will last, a safe that can't be picked, a place that can't be broken into. And then he goes even further and says some amazing wisdom. He says, where your heart is, your treasure will be also. I had a King Griffey Jr. baseball card, and I had saved up for this card. I had bought it from the baseball card shop down the street. It was the best card in my entire collection, and I'd even bought a special protective case for this card that had screws that I kept it safe in, and I kept it in a safe spot. I thought it was safe, but moisture somehow got into that protective case, and over the course of a period of time, unbeknownst to me, completely in the dark, my King Griffey Jr. baseball card, rookie card, was destroyed. And so later I got it out, and I could see how the water had just destroyed it and turned it not into a baseball card, but just to remnants of cardboard. And I was devastated. I thought it was safe, but it wasn't safe. Jesus is warning, invest your treasure put your treasure in what will last. And so we need to ask the question, how do we invest in things that last? I'm not a financial expert. In fact, in all my schooling, I took a personal finance class in high school, and in college, I took a church finance class. And outside of that, the only financial lessons I've taken have been the few Dave Ramsey podcasts that I've picked up over time. So no stretch of the imagination am I a financial guru or expert, but two of the things that I've picked up in both those classes and every single one of those podcasts have something really big, I think, a real application to what we're talking about today. And that's two terms. The first term is return on investment. So return on investment is this idea that you want to invest your funds in something that is going to have a good return. If something doesn't have a high ROI, then it's not worth it. You might be willing to take a greater risk with your financial investments if it might have a high ROI at the end of the day. So the first term is ROI, return on investments. You want to invest in things that have a high rate of return. And the second term is compound interest. Now, people love to talk to young people about compound interest because the idea is the earlier you can put away money, the more interest it will grow. In fact, you can put less money away early and have it grow greater interest than more money later. It's like the earlier you get up and start your work, the bigger of an impact, the greater of an impact it's going to have. Invest early in the right things, and you're not just going to have a higher ROI, but it's going to do more than money can do later. So ROI and compound interest. Jesus says here in Matthew 6, invest early and often in things that will last. The earlier we realize the implications of making wise heavenly investments, the earlier we realize that, the higher rate of ROI in these spiritual and heavenly things. Don't invest in things that can be stolen or broken. Choose to invest in the things that are eternal. I think it's good for us to remember what are the things that are eternal. How do we invest in eternal things, and how do we do that early? The eternal things in God's creation are people. And how do you invest early in people? You invest in a child's life. I've got this article that I want to share with you that is from WCPO earlier in the year. It was written by Kristen Swilley about a foster family here in the Ohio area in Batavia. Beth and Scott Lammers have adopted 7 children in as many years, growing their household from a small nuclear family, father, mother, and 2 biological children, to one that gets around in a 12-passenger van. Life is different now than it used to be, Beth Lammers said Monday. She wouldn't change it for anything. I love what she says. Love is messy. I have to remember it because my day is messy, and we are messy, and life is messy. I think a lot of people are a lot of people's eyes are very wide, she said. It's kind of like, how do you manage to take care of all this? How do you have enough to give every child? But there isn't less the more children that are here. There's more. There's more in all of our hearts. We all pitch in and we all give each other time and love, and there's more to go around the more children that are here. I love what she says next, though. I think it's funny. That said, she thinks 9 is enough for now. And then she finishes the conversation with this. I feel like their hearts are deeper and more filled with love and more passion and more compassion because of it all, she said of her children. I think it's been a very helpful journey for them. And then the writer of the article finishes up by saying, in Hamilton County, on any given night, 1,000 children are in need of homes. Anyone interested in adopting or fostering can reach out to their county's Job and Family Services Department. The reason I share that story with you is because the Lammers family, Beth and Scott, figured out they weren't planning on fostering. They decided to do it because they saw an opportunity and they saw it as a worthwhile investment. And so they invited 7 kids to be in their home on a permanent basis as long as they needed, because they saw the ROI, the eternal, the spiritual impact in those kids' lives as being worth the energy it was going to take. Their treasure was best invested in those kids. Now, a lot of people look at those who foster or adopt and say, I'm never capable of that. But whether you do something as arduous or as challenging as that, or you just say, I'm going to open up my life to a child in my neighborhood, or a child in my community, or a relative, find a child that you can invest in, because if you want to see the eternal compounding interest of the investment that you place in someone else's life, invest in the life of a child, and that investment is going to be a safe and powerful investment that makes a huge difference. That's not the only way that you can help make an investment or invest in heavenly things. Our local mission team has created Parkside Cares, this PDF that we've put on our website of local opportunities where you can make a difference in a safe and healthy way with our local mission partners, and also just with our neighbors. Ideas like making a garden in your community to share with others, creating cloth masks that you can use or give out to people that might need masks. But then with our local mission partners, there's great opportunities to make a lasting and eternal impact. Think about Woodland Lakes, and Woodland Lakes projects that they lost $200,000 of income from retreats and summer camp, and that's not even speaking of the ministry that would be happening there if they had summer camp this year, but they can't because of this COVID outbreak. They have the opportunity right now for small groups of people to come out and work on the campgrounds, and I encourage you to do that. And maybe it's not Woodland Lakes, maybe it's Christian Village communities where you can send cards to elderly people that haven't been able to have visitors for the past 2.5 months. Maybe that'd be a simple way to share Jesus' love. Or maybe you can go onto our website and find that PDF and find a way to help with Back to Back, or Mount Washington Elementary, or with Outreach, or Lightshine. Any of those options. Find an investment that's eternal, because an eternal investment is never going to go bad. It's going to last and last, and it's going to continue to grow interest. In verse 24 of chapter 6, Jesus brings this into greater clarity. He says, you can't serve God and money. You're going to love one master and hate the other. We've got to change our investment strategy from thinking of money as our treasure to valuing what God values. God values His creation. He values all of life. I think some of the horrible things that we see happening in the news, some of the horrible arguments that we see that are happening politically, is because we have valued the wrong things. God wants us to value each other and invest in each other. Not some number in our bank account, or not some social standing. Maybe there'd be less injustice in our communities if the thing we valued most was the lives of our neighbors and the lives of people that don't look or act or talk the way that we do. How can we value the humanity that God created the way that He values that humanity? I want to take just a second and update you on Bart and I's transition in leadership. We're about to enter the month of June, and I've been preaching for the month of May, and for the month of June, Bart's going to be preaching every Sunday in June. And July 1st will be my first day as the lead pastor at Parkside Christian Church. I want to take this moment to update you on that, because when we talk about valuing life, I think Bart has been an incredible role model for me in what it means to value life. I still remember, it was over almost a decade and a half ago now, that when I first interviewed at Parkside, and I sat down with Randy and with Bart, and we were talking about lots of different things. And I said, I really, wherever I become a pastor, I want to get to know the community. And Bart had been listening and sizing me up and, giving me that side eye of, let's see what this guy's all about. But in that moment, Bart spoke up. And he said, Matt, wherever you end up being a pastor, if you get to know your community and you love your community, God's going to bless what you do. And that stuck with me every single year in ministry. And I'm so thankful that we've had the opportunity at Parkside. And I know Bart's going to be staying on staff and he's going to be in a different capacity, but it would be foolish of me to not take this opportunity to say thank you to Bart for his leadership at Parkside Christian Church, for showing us and teaching us what to value most, and that is the life that God has made. So in this month of June that's coming up, whether you're watching from home or you're in person in our facility at Parkside, soak up everything that Bart's teaching, soak up everything that Bart's saying, because we have a wonderful opportunity to continue to learn from a man who is a great follower of Christ and has done just a phenomenal job of showing us what to value most. You can chase money and never have it. Or you can chase money and get it and you can lose it. But what happens for a lot of us is we spend most of our lives chasing money and we never have enough. Whatever we hold isn't the amount that we want. But an investment in a human life lasts forever. Graduates, I want to circle back to you. What are you going to invest in the next year? You have a chance to be rich. What do you want to be rich in? One of the richest people I've ever known, one of the richest people I've ever had the privilege to spend time with is my grandmother, my grandma, Martha Jean. She's actually the person that we named Everly, our daughter, after, Everly Jean. She never really had money to speak of, but my grandma was rich in the love of God, and she invested so much of that love so freely and so wisely in the lives of others. My grandma, we just celebrated her this past week because she served in World War II in the Navy Waves program. And she's raised 4 amazing kids despite not really having any money and having to deal with a husband who was wrestling his entire married life with alcoholism. My grandmother is the matriarch of our family, and she is the reason in so many ways that my aunt and uncles and my dad know Jesus. When I think about her being rich, I think about the time I've spent with her, the letters she's written me, and I firmly believe that every single day of my life, my grandmother has prayed for me. And even now, as her health is declining, I know that my grandmother still prays for me on a daily basis. She has taken what she is rich in, not in earthly terms, but in spiritual terms, and she has invested that so freely with everyone she's met, and it's made all the difference in my family's life. When my grandmother says goodbye, she says, "I love you," a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck. That's just the way we say it. That's the way we do it, and we give a hug when we say goodbye. My grandmother measured out her riches in bushels and pecks and hugs around the neck. For her, it was never about the house that she had, the car that she drove, or a number in a bank account. She didn't serve money, she served God. And she took the grace that God gave her, and she gave it freely to everyone she met. And she still does that to this day. I want to challenge you to take a page out of my grandma's book, out of the people in your life that have shared grace with you so freely. Don't store up your treasures on earth where they can be destroyed. Store them up in heaven. Get busy making heavenly investments that no one can steal. So I want to encourage you, next week, Bart's going to pick up in the Beacon of Hope series, and he's going to give us the therefore. What comes next in this teaching is Jesus saying, therefore, don't worry. If we invest in the right things, we can be free of worry. because we know that our investments are safe. And Bart's going to share amazing ways that investing in the right thing frees us up from the worries and anxieties of life. Right now, we're going to move into a time of communion. And as we move into this time of communion, whether you do it later as a family in a meal, or you do it later in your small group, or if you pause the video and you have communion right now, spend time thinking about what Jesus invested in his life. Jesus, in the comfort of heaven, decided to come and sacrifice himself, invest himself in you. He chose to die on a cross for you because he saw you as a worthwhile eternal investment. The return on the investment, the compound interest that he experienced in showing his love to you was a worthwhile one for him, and that's where he's chosen to place his treasure. So as you examine yourself in this time of communion, remember that Jesus invested himself in us. Have a great week, Parkside.